What's up, everyone? It's your girl Danielle, and this video I really wanted to talk about sovereignty and what I feel it took for me to get to a place of freedom. I've kind of come to the decision that our most valuable commodity is our freedom, our sovereignty. And that goes for our mental sovereignty as well, because even if you have freedom physically, if you're mentally enslaved, it doesn't matter, right? So this has been a long journey for me, disconnecting from the matrix. I posted a video a long time ago on how to exit the matrix, and the rabbit holes, continuing to expand. And I just know that the more that I seek my excitement, my heart, that true purpose that I'm here for, I'm always provided for. It seems to always work out in some way, shape, or form. As long as we stay in line with the highest good of all, the universe seems to kind of work with us, right? So the biggest drawback for us, human beings living in this system, is housing. Our housing keeps us very limited, especially financially, but also spiritually and in many other ways. So I kind of came up against this blockage when I moved to Sedona, Arizona, and this was a long time ago, but I wanted to pursue the healing arts and further my healing practice. So that was a decision that I made, and I also chose to get dogs, which further impacted my situation. So as you may know, a lot of these tourist towns are heavily saturated with Airbnb rentals, right? So it makes it almost impossible for somebody like me. There are no spaces to rent for people like me who are just needing rental accommodations, on a month-to-month basis for me and my dogs. That's very rare to come across something that is affordable. So as the years went on and I continued my studies and I continued to devote myself to my practice, my living situation began to become it almost became impossible to become stable in that environment. There was a lot of constantly moving around, constantly having to deal with in astronomical fees, rental fees, deposits, pet deposits. After years of this cycle, it gets kind of old, right? To say the least, of constantly relocating and giving up your power and struggling. It feels like you're a slave, right? And I don't want to say I was a slave, but looking back now, I don't know what else to say. I got to my limit where I was like, you know what? I'm done. I can't run this rat race anymore. It's not a thrill. In fact, it's draining my life force, it's draining my creativity, and it's making me avoid my life purpose. So I was like, no, 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 we can't have this, right? I have to switch this up completely. As I kind of brainstormed, the options were pretty limited, for my budget at the time and the resources that I had. So I decided to kind of just go off grid and live off in my truck and in a very primitive way get connected back with the land and get back connected with myself and my power. And I was super inspired by Henry David Thoreau. That Walden book was kind of like what. So I did that for a couple years and really kind of gained back a lot of my freedom. I really deprogrammed, deconditioned a lot of the human stuff. You see, because the hardest part about going home free, and there is a difference between home free and homelessness, and I'll explain to you that here in a minute. But the thing about it is not the actual act itself. The actual act itself of, living close to nature, like on the beach or, off in some beautiful forest. The actual act of it is simple. Anyone can do it. But you can see there's so much preconceived notion. There's so much of this programming in the psyche of the human mind. We don't even fathom it being a possibility to live in nature. So I really came up against this over the course of the time that I was living off grid and off on the land. It wasn't that it was so difficult, which, it was, but the hardest part was the human projection onto me. The hardest part was my own mind dealing with my own projections of what I was doing. You see what I mean? So we can do this. We can do whatever we want, but we have to be prepared of what others are going to say to us and how we're going to react to their reaction. So you have to be really prepared to let go. The hardest part for me was letting go of the past. The old system, the old structure, the old paradigm had to completely fall. And once the old paradigm, the old structure had released itself from my mind, it had released its grip from my focus, I knew that there was another reality that I could create. So that's what I started doing. So as time went on, I had to kind of come back into balance, kind of came back for the winter times. I would get rooms and rent rooms, There's been kind of this cycle of what works for me, and it doesn't work for everybody else. But it seems that I kind of get to this point where I have to go off grid and I have to experience nature in its wild rawness. I have to immerse myself in that energy, like what I'm doing right now. But actually, my house is just down the little wash there, but that's the balance I'm kind of talking about. Now I get this, but I also get that. It's not this or that, it's this and that. It was my decision to do some healing work and to really let go of the whole system and release myself from the stress of trying to struggle for the dollar. And once I allowed myself that, it was really a release and kind of a freedom. It was an absolute freedom. Once I realized that, oh my God, I can do this. There's times when I don't have to play the game. I can actually just say, nope, we're loading up the truck and we're going. And it can be something positive. It doesn't have to be this negative thing. And back to what I was saying about the difference. There is a major difference between being home free and homeless. Unfortunately, most majority of people that are without a structure are homeless. It's not their choice. It's due to very limiting circumstances in their life and, disability, drugs, abuse, all types of things. And in my journey, I've met all sorts of walks of life, and I feel very connected with those who have, detriments in their life, like not having a house, because I was there. I have been homeless before. Majority of the time, I have been home free. And that is where you choose that. It's an option, because you could either go inside or not. It's something that you choose in terms of gaining more time and freedom and access to nature. So this has been a very passionate journey for me. I'm glad that I didn't just surrender and suffer in some of the places that I was. And I also, like I said, this hasn't been the easiest thing ever. I do feel, though, anybody with a drive and a will, like their spirit is calling them to do it, can do it. I feel very open to what my spirit is asking me to do. My spirit tells me sometimes to clear out and to relieve myself from limiting experiences, limiting environments. And sometimes that means me sacrificing comfort, me sacrificing parts of myself that I thought I needed. But in reality, it was just another opportunity for me to do some clearing and some releasing. It's all about stability and this equilibrium between nature and comfort. There is this journey that we're on in terms of our freedom and gaining access to more parts of ourselves, and we shouldn't let the matrix or the system hinder that in any way. There's no way that we are less than or less powerful than that illusion. We are the ones that create our reality. So when we stop giving our power away, we start seeing our experience transform in incredible ways. And I just think it's badass that we're all part of this revolution right now, and just seeing how the human spirit is evolving. We're all just taking our power back and starting to use it in amazing, beautiful ways for the planet and for ourselves and everyone around us. So thank you so much for watching, and I'm sending you all this love. Mwah. Peace.